I guess. But that doesn't sound good, and it's too hard to say, so we call it $10. But isn't that the wrong word?
Yeah.
So I started thinking of 10 units of debt. Now that casts a whole different light on it. I'll give you 20 units of debt for that. You will? I don't want your debt. I mean, start thinking about these terms that we use. And when you start thinking about the terms that are being used and what they really mean, all of a sudden you have a totally different concept of what's going on in the world. I work for 6 units of debt an hour, and I go further in debt every day. Isn't that true? So it would behoove you then to start to get on the credit side instead of the debt side. Okay? So then you have to learn, well, how do I do that? Because now my whole world's upside down. Everything I thought I knew, I don't know. And so now I have to reconstruct my whole life. Well, how far back do you got to go? I don't know. I can't tell you that. You have to tell you that. I have to say I love my mother and father to death, but they're wrong. They didn't understand. Is it their fault? No. If you go back and read, and when we put our program together, we'll give you the foundational documents to read. There's a lawyer back in, I don't have it with me to tell you exactly what date, but it was some time ago, back in the 30s or 40s, that wrote a treatise of about 60 pages on the Roosevelt coup d'etat. You know what that is? The overturning of the government. He was an attorney from the St. Louis bar, and he outlined the history of the birth certificate. He outlined how it came into this country and why. He named the people that did it. It's thoroughly researched and footnoted. It's a very interesting reading document. Jim gave it to me when I was in Pennsylvania. I said, man, this is incredible. It lays out exactly the purposes for birth registration. Okay? Another friend of ours that is south of here contacted, the Roosevelt coup d'etat. And don't ask me to spell it. No. I never was very good at French or whatever that word is.
Who's it written by?
A guy named Edmonds, I think. I can't remember all that off the top of my head. It's just we have it in just like this. It is how we have it. It's not in a book or anything like that.
How do we get it?
We'll have it available. There's people here that have it because I brought it to them the last time, or one of the first or second times. Linda's got one. Jeff's got one. They're available. I think he does, don't you? It's at the house. I know it's at the house. Robbie had one. But anyway, in the context of what this thing talks about in the birth certificates and that type of thing, a friend of ours was talking to a friend of his in Florida who's in the hospital and medical profession. And they were talking about Social Security numbers, birth certificates, and those types of things. And it came out that the hospital gets $4,000 for every Social Security number that they assign to a child at birth from the Social Security Administration. Okay? $4,000. So, there's a price on your head from the moment you come on the earth. Okay? So the whole thing is it's all just about commerce. It's all about money. And the quicker they can get you into debt and utilizing their debt instruments, the quicker they have control over you. Think about your life in the terms of your everyday events. You get up, you go to work, you come home, you change clothes, some of you go to work again, your wife goes to work, your husband goes to work, you go to work, and it's this never-ending cycle. And your neighbors all do it. Everybody you know does it. Why? Because you were trained that way. I was. It just, my father cannot understand how and why I sit at a computer and talk to people all over the United States day after day. He says, "What is it you do?" "Dad, don't worry about it. I'm okay." You got it? Is that what you got? Okay. Okay? He doesn't understand that I no longer am out there with a shovel planting plants in the ground. Now I'm out there with a shovel planting people in the ground. Not in a bad way. I'm just sowing seeds. Okay? And I'm hoping and thinking and under the impression that I'm trying to sow seeds of freedom. And so then you have to study and water that seed and let it grow and tell your other friends. And with that comes a total shift in thinking and thought process that says, I can do something else over here and still accomplish the same goals to some degree. I have to shift my priorities. Now, everybody has a different priority than everybody else. My priorities and my reasons for doing things are different than yours. Okay? But what brings us here in a common bond is not money, it's freedom. At least that's my impression. You'll have to tell me if I'm wrong. So, if the common thread and the common bond is freedom, I'm much closer to people that I talk to, that I have this mental connection with, emotional connection with, physical connection with, than I am my own family. Okay? Because we have a common ground to come from and talk to and communicate and to work with. I just happen to be raised with these other people in the same house. I love them. I feel sorry for them. Okay? No, I have one brother left, and he got a taste of this from the Boise City Police. The Boise City Police killed 7 people in an 18-month span in routine traffic stops. Yeah. Judge, jury, and executioner right on the street. So he's going home from his job in the middle of the night one night. He goes about a mile to work, and 2 cops tag team him in Boise, right on the main street, State Street. And my brother doesn't see very well, especially at night, because he's a diabetic and his eyes are deteriorating a little bit. And he tries to ask this one cop, what is it I did wrong? And this cop just blows up on him. Just went off. And my brother said, I thought he was going to kill me. So I just said, he says, I just shut up and let him write me a ticket. I mean, that's why I don't encourage anybody to confront these guys on the street. And the other thing you need to understand is these guys have they have a 007. And what that is? License to kill. And they have absolute immunity. Every one of these shootings was justifiable. Well, who investigated it? Government. Okay? You have to be careful. These people have a gun. If you are out, you watch what happens on around the country when there's some type of, quote, standoff, okay? Somebody has an arrest warrant out for them and they won't turn themselves in, and so eventually the authorities come and move against this individual. And he's in his house. At some point in time, for his refusal, they can use deadly force. Okay? There was a show, a segment on either 20/20 or 60 Minutes, and my 17-year-old, who was the 6th grader I was describing, wanted to watch this show because it was about snipers.